All right, guys, so we're going to go ahead and get into these formations and talk about why they're so important. So most basic one that the game pretty much gives you that you're going to want to stick with for a while because it works. Hoplite here, that is semi-tanky frontline, right? Nothing wrong with that. Then you're going to want somebody who can do interrupts. Why? Because these characters that have abilities, not characters, but these enemies that have abilities that are charging up, you need to interrupt those to prevent your team from taking more damage than they should be, right? You want a healer because you need to keep your front line alive. There are going to be matches and different situations where your front lines are going to take a lot of damage and you're going to want a healer. And then next, you want to have a DPS. I specifically think you should have a AoE DPS to make this easier to take the pressure off your DPS, and then the AoE DPS to take the pressure off your tanks, and then that takes pressure off your healer, right? That way you can focus on using more DPS skills versus trying to panic and kill everybody because someone's taking too much damage. This is a good balance. It allows you to use your skills in a comfortable position, heal, right, where you should be interrupting. You can do that, right? But also with your team formations, you want to look at the cost of the characters that you are using, right? You don't want to have a bunch of high cost characters because you need to cycle your abilities in case you need something, right? Because there are times where the game will give you like all three of Chlor's ability, and that's 6 costs. You know, you only have 10. And so now you're like, oh crap, bro. Like if I use this, like how long will I have till I can get that interrupt, right? So you want to have some of these costs here where once you start to get your energy up to 6 or 7, you can use one and then you can quickly use another ability, right? A lot of people aren't used to that in combat, kind of having to pick and choose what skills they want to use. And sometimes you'll be using some skills back to back. That's why you want to have a decent like management of your cost while you're looking at your team as well. So again, this is here looking at your classes. You have the 2 hoplites. Of course, these 2 are giving more physical damage for themselves. The spellcaster mages, they give 5% more energy for everybody. And then the support healer gives 15% more healing for everyone. So this is a good basic setup. There's nothing wrong with it. You can build off of this. You could possibly add in a tank here if you wanted to. If you have a tank that can interrupt, you can do that too. I'm not really talking about the 3 stars because they're a little bit special, but if you have a 3-star who can fit into this formation, you can go ahead and do that, right? Like we already know that Media is a free character we get. You can put her here if you want to. If you end up getting a tank that can fit a spot, you can do that too, right? Just depends on what you get in your team, but I'm gonna talk with mostly 1 stars to 2 stars because everybody can get those characters, right? Also with going from here, there are a couple other formations that you can do just depending on how your setup is, right? If you have a really strong tank, it's gonna be 2-star or 3-star that you have invested into, you can do a solo tank setup. Just be careful and be mindful of this. Everybody on that enemy team is going to be attacking this unit. So if this unit doesn't have some built-in mitigation, some really good skills to kind of sustain themselves, you don't want to do this. So you typically want this if you have a tank that has sustain, you can do a single target setup. Then if you're going to do a healer, make sure you have a healer that has some really good single target healing, because all the pressure is going to be going on this tank. Like, I wouldn't really stress too much on the AoE healing, only because you're going to be depending on your 2 DPS to take the pressure off your tank, to take the pressure off your healer. But you do need to have that skill, not an ult, but a skill that can heal this tank if you are caught up in a situation. So I'm not putting necessarily Roko here for that spot, but we're just using Roko. For example, you could do Screamer if you want. I know she just came out, or anybody else, right? Well, let's use Screamer because she's new. So then from here, you're looking at 2 DPS, right? You can do 2 snipers if you want, kind of mirroring what this enemy team has. You have your 2 snipers, single target, take down their single tank, and then you can take out the rest of the DPS as your tank moves in. You could do 2 casters if you like for some AoE, some really big AoE damage, right? You could also look at putting sniper and caster to have a balance of attack damage and attack power for a magical and physical team. That way you're just not getting completely resisted out. Or you could do an assassin if you like. If you have a couple assassins, you can do that to get to the back line, right? But this also comes into looking at what the enemy team has, right? You want to see what they are resistant against most. If you're properly planning, right? You're looking at the enemies and being like, okay, what do they take most damage from? And you can build their team from that. If you are the type of person who's like, I'm going to use the characters I use, and I'm not going to care about the resistances, then, you build that way. But again, you kind of want to build your formations just thinking about the enemy team, but then also having a good balance, right? You do need that good balance because you don't want to fail missions. You don't want to have to go back to get your 3 stars and everything. So just really think about that. Another thing you could do, depending on the type of team that you have, you could use a healer that's like a buffer, and then have another healer that's mainly a healer, and then have a like really kind of I guess I'd say melee focused setup where you have a let me see if I can use somebody else. So you have like a hoplite who is more offensive based, nothing like tanky, nothing trying to protect themselves. You have an assassin who's going to be in the front line, and I say having this because you have a buffer who is going to buff the damage to make sure that this doesn't take too long, and they're giving them extra attack speed, attack power, or anything. And then you have a healer who can take care of all of them. You probably want a healer that has some AoE to take care of them if your buffer isn't that like great at healing. But I'm using Roko here because Roko also helps them with ult generation, help let this go faster. And this again is just like a different type of setup, just more melee focused. You can also use a guardian here, especially if they're going to be boosting physical damage, like as in this guardian does. You don't really want to do this where you have like casters, because the enemy is going to be moving in on your casters and they have nothing to protect themselves, they have nothing to mitigate. So you do want to have a front line in most of your matches. Like even if you're that type who got CM and you're waiting for his ult, this is not safe. Like you can just power through it to beat it, but this is not safe. So again, just kind of giving some basic formations with not really trying to build anything based off the characters or using a lot of 3 stars, because I guess this will be the last point in my video. Once you guys start getting 3 stars, you're gonna be building around them mostly, or if you get some 2 stars who level up to 3 stars, because at the end of the day, it's going to be about your combat power. It's going to be about how strong you have certain characters. And if you have a character who, like Euphoria, who gets boosted up to 3 star, right, you're gonna want to like use her because she's strong. She's gonna have the stats that are gonna work really well for you, right? Same thing with these 3 stars that you have. You're getting 1 to 4 star, like they're gonna be stronger. So you really want to build your team kind of specifically around those stronger characters. Like if you just end up getting like a crap ton of copies of one of these 2 stars and you end up upgrading them, they'll probably be stronger than your 3 stars. And so you'll have to build around that as well. But we already know that we all get media, so build around media. She's free. Euphoria is free. And they pretty much give you a chance to upgrade her to 3 star. And then you're going to be given another free 3 star. So, you know, kind of build, if you can, around that, if you can, right? Building like this, it only leaves me with really one front line. So you kind of do have to be careful with how you build, and you have to hope that you get decent rolls or whatever. But just kind of think about that as your ability. Like if you have a really good 3-star, probably build around them, because that'll help you out, especially in the long run. But anyways, guys, if you found this video helpful, please hit the like button. Comment down below what you guys think. Maybe you guys have some better formations. Let me know down in the comment section, because I do love talking with you guys. And please subscribe to the channel if you enjoy the content, you want more of this content, and you want to see other gacha content from me. Anyways, I'm gonna go ahead and get out of here. You lucky gamers, have a good one. Lucky Lucks out.